gigabytes, now it's 30 gigabytes, then it's 40 gigabytes, to increase the value. First there was no video, then it was a black and white video, then it's a color LCD screen. So we could change the product, the different features to continue to add value and sell more units. We could spend more money on advertising. Advertising is promotion. Advertising is part of promotion. But advertising starts with an A, it doesn't work so nicely with that motto, right, the 4 Ps. So we could increase the amount of money we spend on advertising and sell more units. So we're managing that life cycle. That's what we need to learn from that. We need to proactively manage that. There's 2 key pricing strategies. There's a penetration pricing strategy and a skimming strategy. Penetration pricing means that we introduce the product. Exactly. Anya said, at a low price, our #1 answer. Low price. End of story. Period. Not introduce at a low price and then increase it later. No. If you're able to, if you know how to do that, you come see me after class.
Okay, fine.
Okay? Because you introduce the product at a certain price point, who's gonna, and the reason we do that is because we want to accelerate the rate of adoption. That's the purpose of a penetration pricing strategy. So we introduce it at a low price and capture a large market share, and we accelerate the rate of adoption. But then you can't afterwards say, well, remember it was $10? Haha, now it's 15. You're going to sell more units that way? Who's going to buy? Who's going to buy it at 15 when you already sold 150 million of them at $10? Right? That's very problematic. Maybe there's some exception to that. Offhand, I really can't think of one. But that's different from skimming. Skimming is you start at a high price and then lower the price in a planned way over time. That's very common in electronics. So you start at a high price and then lower the price as time passes. Not in reaction to what your competitors have done, so it's not a knee-jerk reaction. That's our plan.
Then why would anyone buy it at the high price?
Why was that?
Why would anyone buy it at the high price?
Why? Because there's some people who want to be the first to have the product, which is what we call the innovators. They're the 2.5% of the market. Yes, go ahead.
When the Xbox and the Wii first came out, I hired people to wait online for me. I paid them. I bought 6 of them, and then I sold them again for double the price. All the people that wanted them before Christmas.
So there you go. You've answered your own question. The first VCR. Now get this: a product that's obsolete. The VCR. The first VCR that I bought was at Macy's. Right? Macy's is still in business, right?
For now.
For now. The first VCR I bought, I paid $1,500 for. Now, you could go to Rite Aid on Flatbush Avenue and buy one, right? For how much? $39, right? That's very common in electronics. Take any electronics product. It's very common to have a skimming strategy. Look at flat panel LCD screens. A few years ago, literally they were $10,000 for a large flat panel LCD screen, right? A high definition monitor. Now they're $2,000 to $3,000. That's not by mistake. They sold a certain percentage of them at $10,000. They sold some at $7,500. They sold some at $6,000. And now they're selling the late majority. Because the adoption curve model has several segments. There's the innovators, the early majority, the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and then the non-adopters. Those who are not going to buy the product. Troy?
Yeah, but I'm thinking at the same time, like, for example, let's look at the iPhone and Blackberries. It's like, I think that a lot of people are getting into the market and picking them up as right now as compared to later on, because probably later on there'll be something totally different. And I guess basically everyone wants to get into the concept of what they provide right now. So that's why people are not necessarily, I don't think people are necessarily hopping in because they want to be the first to have it. It's basically the services they provide.
So it provides a certain value to them. There's a certain functionality to the product. Technology continues to evolve, so they're going to continue to add more features to the product. So when do you buy? You're going to wait another year? Oh, if I wait another year, it's going to be like this camera. This camera is 80 gigabytes. If I wait another year, there'll be one that's 180 gigabytes. And in another 6 months after that, it'll be 200 gigabytes. So when do you buy? Do I wait another 10 years? And I'll just have a 500 gigabyte one.
I disagree with what you said, because that's exactly why people buy. People buy because they want something first. Everybody's got a TV, right? People need plasma TVs. You have a TV. If you're just not going to function, you would need to buy a plasma TV. People buy plasma TV because you want something new, you want something bigger, better, brighter. That's just what it is. Everybody had cell phones when the iPhone came out, but everybody wanted my iPhone because they wanted the new phone.
Right. Well, I'm going along with it by saying it's not necessarily because they want to be the first in. Do you think so?
I think very much so. I think very much so.
Well, it's subjective, that's for sure. So for some, that's absolutely the case. For others, not so much. So absolutely, it's a very subjective, personal thing. But you certainly could make an argument either way.
Yeah, because you could look at the volume as you could look at the volume and see that it's like every quarter they're selling more than the previous quarter or the previous quarter as compared to last year. It's like it keeps going up. I think if it's a matter of the first in, people will probably sit down and wait by a certain line for the prices to come down. And they're not doing it. I don't think the majority is doing that.
Well, so on which products aren't the prices coming down? It depends on the category.
Look at the iPhone. I don't think the iPhone ever came down in price.
Well, no, actually the iPhone, they introduced the iPhone at $600, and then literally 6 weeks later, they lowered it to $400, which is, it's quite extraordinary. And what's interesting is that's a very different pricing strategy than what they deployed with the iPod. Right? iPod, they never lowered the price points. They just kept adding value. They kept adding features, which is really very smart what they did. You don't want to compete on price because that's eroding your profitability. Go ahead, Tanya, there's something you want to share with us?
Yeah, I was gonna say with the cameras, they do the same thing. They have the technology go past 10 million. Not like most is 10 million, so they have the technology to 20, maybe, I don't even know, maybe even 30, and they pulled it so that they made sure that if they could release 30 megapixels, nobody's gonna skip those. They won't find
Absolutely.
anything else.
No, so they're definitely managing that product life cycle very carefully. You're absolutely right. So it has, the pictures have greater resolution. So it wasn't even that long ago. Look how fast technology is advancing. It wasn't even that long ago. It was only like a couple of megapixels. That's not 20 years ago. That's like 3, 4 years ago. It was 2 megapixels, then it was 3, 4. Now you're right, like 10 is considered to be like what's available. That's commonplace now. But absolutely, 20 a year from now. But first, they're going to get people to buy the 10.
Plus, they also make the product to last for a certain amount of time so that you buy it. Even if you're not interested in a new iPod, there's a new iPod that came out, you talk to it, or to say the music smallest one, the MP3, like you just talk to it to say it and it shuffles and